Welcome. This is the March 20th, 2023 Estes Park School District R3 Board of Education regular meeting. It is now 6:15 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Aaron, please conduct a board roll call.
Mr. Adams, Mr. Kushner,
Here.
Mr. Davis,
Here.
Mrs. Free,
Here.
Mrs. Kendall.
Here.
Moving on to approval of the agenda, board members have an agenda before you. At this time, I'll take any comments or amendments to the current agenda. Seeing none, is there a motion and second to accept the current agenda?
I move we accept the current agenda.
I second.
We have a motion and second. Aaron, please conduct a board roll call.
Mr. Adams, Mr. Kushner,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mrs. Free,
Aye.
Mrs. Kendall.
Aye.
Ayes carry the vote and the agenda is approved. Moving on to the next agenda item, public participation. We had no one signed up to speak this evening. Agenda item 2, spotlight on success. Students from our Career Technical Education Center is speaking this evening. Come on up.
Okay, it's not me talking, but I did want to introduce our students and Mrs. Davis. She's going to speak for the construction program. We have Creed Schatz for BAM, and we have Kenny Cromer for construction, right? And ag. He's got several classes, so that's good. And Mr. Harris, I think you're filling in. Is that all right? And I am going to put the slides up. I'm going to run some pictures that we have from the program, and I don't have my glasses, so this should be fun. All right. Ms. Davis, you want to go first? Sure.
Okay, so I'm just gonna give it a little overview of what we've been doing in the construction and welding program. So far this year, we've received close to $30,000. About $15,000 was applying for state funding, so Perkins money for equipment for new metal fabrication and wood forming equipment. And $2,000 was for a workshop I'm going to this summer to get trained in construction and geometry. $10,000 was a grant to introduce propane, HVAC, and plumbing curriculum. So that's going to be a new class that's going to be part of the construction pathway when we get those going, and that will start in the fall. Let's see. Then there is more funding. Oh, I will also be going to Texas for training for that. So that's part of that money. And then there's about $2,500 from community grants that we've received through the Noon Rotary. And then the Estes Park Foundation has helped fund some things as well. So just about what the students are doing. So the welding students have been learning about different welding and techniques. So we've done MIG welding, oxyacetylene, stick welding, and I'm hoping to introduce TIG welding within the next 2 years. And then the construction students built the set for the spring play, made boxes for the middle school robotics team, and they've been building stools for our building because we don't have any, and it's been a really good project. And then right now they are working on model houses to learn the framing and roofing vocabulary, and they're going to be building a big structure in the after spring break using those skills that we are learning right now.
Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Mr. Harris. Primarily teach life sciences at the high school, but I have one class over at the CT building, which is sustainability. I had a couple of students that we worked last week a little bit just to do some talking points. Unfortunately, neither of them could make it today. So I just wanted to share a little bit about the program because I think we've got some cool stuff going on over there. So the sustainability class, just in a nutshell, is focused on trying to create closed loop pathways for materials recycling within the high school building. Primarily, we're focused on plastics. Number one, plastics, which is like the kind of plastics you'd have in a single-use water bottle. Number 2 plastics, which is kind of the opaque plastic that you'd have in like a detergent bottle. Actually, most of what we're doing with number 2 plastics is the plastic milk bottles that they used to use at the elementary school. And we got about like 1,000 of those that we've been working through and trying to recycle. We also use the Amazon packaging, or collect the Amazon packaging, those blue and white bubble mailers, as well as food waste from around the school. And then the goal of that class is to take those materials and implement closed loop pathways, where instead of sending them off to a recycling center where they may or may not be processed properly or actually recycled, that we're taking ownership of those and trying to come up with ways to repurpose them within the school. So with those, number 1, plastic water bottles, we're turning those into 3D printer filament and 3D printing with them. With the HDPE plastic, we're taking that and injection molding them, melting them down, injection molding them, and then using a desktop CNC mill to carve them into new products, or flattening them into sheets and then just kind of thermo molding them into 3D shapes. For the LDPE plastic, or the plastic film from those packages, we're taking those and flattening them with the heat press and then sewing them into new products like reusable shopping bags. And then with food waste, we're collecting food prep waste from the 3 cafeterias when they're prepping meals. So like the ends of vegetables, whatever's left over in the salad bar, when they change that out. And then we're putting that either in a worm composting bin or 2 large outdoor composting bins that we have. And then currently we've got some students taking this as a second semester course, or taking it for a second semester that have already taken it once. And they're developing a station to recycle aluminum cans, where we'll be melting them down and then doing some sand casting and making solid aluminum objects out of those. So it's a little rundown on the sustainability class.
Hi, I'm Kenneth Cromer. I'm a junior here at the high school in town, and I'm here to represent the construction classes, the welding classes, and the ag mechanics classes that are offered here at the high school. So we work really hard in these classes, and I truly would like to thank Ms. Davis and also Dwayne Lloyd for being here and teaching us students how to do and what to do for our own vehicles and for other vehicles and for welding and for construction, right? So a lot of these benefits come from the different structure of the 2 classes between Miss Davis's classes and Mr. Lloyd's classes, right? So in Mr. Lloyd's classes, you have a lot of freedom to be able to work on what you would like, and a lot of guidance on, if I'm going to bring in my own car to work on, he has the experience and the hours to really help me figure out what I need to do for that car. As opposed to Miss Davis's classes, where it's really structured and she really teaches you the nitty-gritty of what exactly needs to happen in this order for a project to come together, such as the construction class, where we're building little model houses, and there's step-by-step instructions, and it's really structured, and it's really helpful for a lot of students to be that way. And thank you.
Hi, I'm Creed Schatz, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about BAM. So I, first off, just wanted to go into sort of business. So the obvious choice for me was to take the only business class at the high school. So I just went ahead and took it. And I was chosen as the CEO. So I kind of run the whole BAM thing. It is completely student led, which is pretty sweet. And it's one of the only in the high school that I can think of. But so we started the year with 2 classes, which was kind of difficult. And just the communication with 2 classes, as you know, in business, one of the hardest things is communication. So that's kind of our biggest struggle, and our biggest, I would say our biggest positive is that we're learning how to do communication. And that's one of the biggest things about business. So it's important, and we've been learning with it. Some new things that are coming up with BAM. We've got a couple events coming up. We've got end of the year events. We're working closely with student council, which is pretty sweet. We've had events later. We're working on next year projects, some big expansion projects. Overall, it's been pretty good, and that's about it. So, yeah.
So do you have any questions for them?
Sure. First of all, thank you guys so much. And I do want to give a shout out. I was at the middle school accountability meeting, and they were saying how much they love those robotics boxes. They said people really admire them, and they want to use them for different stuff because they're so cool. So kudos on that. For the students, I'm curious, what would you tell to incoming new students or students on why they should take those classes? What's the benefit?
Well, I can speak for the shop classes in that it builds really good connections with your fellow students, and Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. So I can speak for the ag classes when I say it builds really good connections between both the students and it allows you to meet some of the teachers within the school. And not only that, but it teaches you to work with your hands and it'll provide you life skills for the future, such as, how to change your oil, how to cut a piece of wood and fix something that you need around the house. And more recently for next year with the plumbing and HVAC, I believe that's something that gets really expensive if you hire somebody else to do it. So being able to make simple repairs can save you hundreds of thousands of dollars down the line. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And as for business, I would just say it's really hands-on. Instead of just a textbook class, like how to do economics or how to do advertising, it is hands-on. You're really going to learn from just the hands-on experience because a lot of us don't learn out of a textbook. It's completely different than most classes. And so by taking BAM, it's the hands-on business experience. It's kind of a way to have fun and test it out at the same time because it's a fun experience. You can test it out, figure out what you like about business. Maybe you don't like the advertising part, but you like the economic part or you like the management part. It's kind of just a good way to just feel it out and just understand like what goes into business and the hands-on experience of where you want to go in business if you do eventually want to follow business. So that's what I would say.
Great, thank you, great answers. And first for the adults, I feel like these are complicated and more work than, or can be more work than a traditional class. So thanks for all your work. I'm curious, what are our pathways for getting new students who might not know about business or might not know about ag or construction or welding? What are our ways of getting them in?
So I'm going to attempt to answer that one. We have really started looking at how we can introduce those classes, either in parent meetings or student meetings. We want to get more into the middle school, 8th grade, and including them in that process so they can see what's available to them and what would be involved when they got there.
Cool, thank you.
So I have a question for the students. It's obvious how excited you are and how engaged the programming at the CT building has been for you. I'd like to hear more about your global outcomes and what attributes do you feel that has been helping you with our global outcomes?
So I believe that global outcomes is one of the greatest strengths of the CTE programs up here at Estes Park, right? So for construction, right? Let's say it teaches you the great global outcomes, right? You get teamwork, you get to work with your hands. It'll teach you communications. You have to communicate across a job site or you're not going to be able to get the project done. And for ag mechanics, it teaches you problem solving because you have to figure out what it is, not only what it is you need to do, but how to do it. If you're working on your car and you have to do a brake change, okay, well, you have the guidance, but you also have to figure out, okay, there's this little clip underneath the car and you have to take that clip off. How do you take the clip off? It teaches you to solve those problems, as well as creativity within all of them, because you get to add your own little taste of whatever you'd like to add to your project. For example, we did stools in construction class recently, and me and a few of the other students in the class decided to make little brands of our last names or of a couple letters, and we branded our stools and then covered them with epoxy. So it's a creative touch to our projects in those classes. Thank you.
Well, Kenny kind of covered most of that, but I'll just talk about the BAM part. I think the two most things are communication and the perseverance aspect. As I said earlier, communication is just a huge part of business in general, and high schoolers and 2 different classes, communication is really difficult. So it's just helped us learn and come a process of how to communicate with each other. For the perseverance business, nothing is set in stone. Everything's up and down all school year. We've hit walls, we've run into issues. It's just always been like an uphill climb, if that makes sense. And so we've learned how to persevere through that and work together as a team and just find out what the solution is. And so I think it's been pretty good. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Appreciate it, all your hard work.
Sorry. I think y'all know how proud I am of them. They have made the program.
Thanks for the photos. Those are great.
All right, moving on to agenda item 3, discussion items, student board rep, 3 once, Sophie Camprath.
Hi, so tonight for our student board report, we're mainly going to be talking about the happenings at the high school. Yeah, so recently we just had our semester 2 band concert. It's not our end of the year band concert, but it's our like second semester kind of midway point band concert. And I would like to personally say that I thought it was very successful. With both middle school and with high school, they both sounded amazing. And I think all of the students should be extremely proud with how they sounded. We also just had MORP, which was also a pretty successful event. And we are well on the way with planning prom. We're going to start selling tickets around after spring break. And the student body is super excited for spring break, starting to get the hype for a good week off. And sports have also been doing pretty good, and from what I've heard, and that's kind of kept morale pretty high at the high school. Any questions? Oh, yes, I did. Thank you. All right, so an update on the dress code is that the board is still under review of the dress code. They met with 2 of our board reps and they seem to like most of what we had, but there are still a couple things that we're working on. And then
You might want to talk about Ms. Barron joining me.
oh yeah, and then Miss Barron will be joining us at our next couple meetings. All right, any questions?
Thank you, Sophie. Moving on to agenda item 3.2, superintendent report, Superintendent Bodie.
Great. Hi, everyone. Before I start my report, I just want to recognize Sophie for a second because she jumped in at the last minute. She actually wasn't the board rep that was going to be coming to the meeting, but she stepped in for one of her teammates who was assigned and couldn't make it. And so I just want to say Sophie never misses a meeting. We meet every Tuesday. And this is something we piloted this year, and there's several students on the superintendent council. But I just wanted to take a minute because Sophie, you've demonstrated such leadership skills, and she's really kind of stepped up as the primary leader on the superintendent council. So I just want to recognize you for your great leadership this year at the high school.
Thank you.
All right, so for the superintendent March report, it's shorter than most because we've actually just met 3 weeks ago because we don't have a 4th Monday of the month this month, do we? So our meeting's a little early. I want to wish all of our families and staff members a happy spring break. Next week, there is no school. Woo. This is the time when everyone should be taking a deep breath and get some quality time with each other and hit the reset button. So I hope everyone will take a moment to do that and come back refreshed and recharged in April. I want to thank all those that provided feedback on our draft of the communication plan for the district. We just finished collecting feedback from the DAC committee, and we've been collecting it from a lot of committees, all of the school committees and teachers and staff. And while we've been slowly implementing many of the elements in the plan throughout the year, we're excited to finalize it and then fully launch it next school year. As part of our communication goal this year, we want to make sure our wider community is communicated with. And so right now, if patrons go to our website, www.ssschools.org, there will be a little pop-up that says, click here to sign up for all of our communications. So you can put your information in when that pops up, and you can get all of the communications from our district or any specific buildings. You could get communications from all of the buildings and options and the district if you want. So just that's there right now. We'll have that little pop-up for a few more weeks. And then also you can always access it if you go to the top of our website and go to site shortcuts. It's the very first thing that drops down, and it says sign up for district announcements. And so you can sign up there as well. It's an effort to make sure everyone in our community who wants newsletters and announcements from our schools and district is receiving them. So if you haven't signed up and you want to, please do that. Our strategic plan is in its final stages with the graphic designer from Colorado Education Initiative. I'm looking forward to reviewing that plan with you on April 11th at our work session. And the next breakfast with Bodie will be this Friday, April 7th from 7:30 to 9 a.m. And you can drop by the admin building anytime between those hours and enjoy pastries and some coffee and enjoy meeting more and more members of our community in an informal setting. So that will be happening the Friday after we return from break. And that's it for communication. Under high impact instruction, state testing is coming up soon in all our schools. This is a great opportunity for our students to showcase what they know. The state of Colorado chooses the assessment for students in grades 3 through 11 to meet federal testing requirements. So students in grades 3 through 11 take the English language arts assessment and the math assessment, and then students in grades 5, 8, and 11 take the science assessment. The Colorado Measures of Academic Success, that's what CMAS stands for, is the chosen assessment for grades 3 through 8 in English and math, and then 5, 8, and 11 in science. And then the SAT is the chosen assessment for grades 9 through 11 in English and math. It also serves as the college entrance exam for students. All grades begin testing the week of April 10th when we return from spring break. I want to point out how impressed I am with the robotics team at the elementary and the middle school. So I think you probably saw it on our Facebook post, and principals are going to share about it too, I'm sure. But we have 4 teams that made it. They competed in the state championships a week ago, and 4 out of our 10 teams made it to they qualified for the World Championships that take place in Dallas, Texas, here at the end of the month, late March, April. So this programming to the district is fairly new, actually. We only started robotics in 2016 with just a 5th grade club. And then we've been expanding since. And then we expanded to the middle school in 2018. In March 2020, when we shut down, since then, since robotics competitions rely heavily on being in person, for 2 years, we have not competed. And so they came back with a vengeance, and they competed really well this year. During that time, we maintained all our robotics programming actually in our curriculum. So it's important to us that we put robotics into our curriculum and have it accessible for all students. So all students can take robotics. If you want to continue on with that and compete in competitions, you can join the robotics club at the elementary and middle school and then compete in competitions. So we've been really intentional about including robotics in our school curriculum and all of our electives so that all kids have access to it, because there's a really strong focus on global outcomes. Critical thinking and problem solving, creativity, perseverance, communication, and collaboration are all really prominent in the robotics program. We're really proud of our students who have represented our school district well at these competitions. Robotics tournaments are unique in that students are also judged on their character and kindness at these competitions. Our teams have received recognition for their great character and teamwork at all of these competitions, including first place in the state competition. Polly Greenblatt, Shauna Caracello, Nick Gooch are our coaches for the team. And one of the fun things about robotics competitions is that the students get to choose their own name for the team. So the teams that qualified for the World Championships are the Hot Dog Chickens, the Cheeseburgers, the Vex Destroyers, and the Vex Men. They are all the teams that will be going to World. So congratulations to them. Thank you to our families for committing to attendance for every student every day. Every day is a powerful part of our vision statement, excellent educational experiences, every student, every day. If you saw my latest superintendent letter to our community, the focus on this one was attendance. We've been analyzing district data in many ways this year, and we noticed significant trends when we plot students' attendance percentage in correlation to their grades and in correlation to their achievement on our district benchmark assessments. The overall trend is that students who attend more perform well academically. Thank you to your commitment for attendance to all our families. Next year's school calendar has been published and is on our website. It can be found by scrolling to the bottom and clicking on the calendar icon. And then it opens a page. It contains this year's calendar and next year's calendar in both Spanish and in English. Be sure to scroll to the bottom of the page. You can download your own copy or save it to your phone or save it to your computer there. Thanks for your attention to this. I've been around the buildings and I've been really impressed with many staff members that are already implementing strategies learned on the March 6th professional development that we did with St. Vrain's Gifted Education Coordinator, Jen Mayer. I've also seen administrators implementing this into their staff meetings and PLC meetings, and it's having a high positive impact on engagement with our students and our staff and critical thinking. And I think it will really boost the rigor of academics in our classrooms. Culture, our ROARs, provide us with the positive behavior framework we expect from our students and staff in our EPSD community. In the past, our ROARs acronym has stood for respect, on time, attentive, responsible, and safe. This is our positive behavior code for how we treat each other and how we interact with each other in our community. And it serves as our guiding light for character. Recently, we changed the O in ROARs to stand for ownership. to represent more than just on time. We own our attendance, but we also own our learning, our decisions, our attitude, our behavior, our reactions, and we take extreme accountability for our actions as students and staff members. Just a recap of our roles. Respect is how we interact with and treat each other. Ownership is how we take accountability for our learning, behavior, attitude, and decisions. Attentive is how we engage in the present moment and give our very best effort. Responsible is how we honor our commitments and are dependable. And safe is how we protect the well-being of ourselves and others. So thank you to everybody for your work on that. And thank you to our community for your support of our public school. We are better together.
Thank you, Ruby.
Yeah.
Moving on to agenda item 3.3, administrator reports, Aaron and John.
Word for you. It's Spirit Week at the elementary school, and today was sports day. So I had on my favorite sports team and I left it on tonight just for you, Ava.
And I did not get that memo. Otherwise, I would have worn my favorite sports team.
I'm sorry.
But I do like your t-shirt. And my first question is, was there any integration of the March Madness into the math or any other parts of the curriculum?
Oh, that's a great
Good
question.
question.
We didn't in the primary
Didn't?
grades.
That might
yeah.
be something to
Coach B
consider.
had something.
Coach, yeah.
Okay, and on with the report.
Well, speaking of March Madness, it's been a quick month of March in elementary school. So in culture and communication, we had a great books and breakfast. Again, I think you know that Officer Mazzella was our special guest this month, and we had a huge outcome of parents to talk with him, and they chatted for about an hour in primary grades of just about safety and asked great questions of him and had a great time that day. We also had our author visit from Gigi Morales, and it was an amazing day. Thank you to the Women's League and the Estes Park Library and Deb Holmes for all their work putting that together. And then Spirit Week has been a fun start. I mean, we still don't know what we're going to do for Career Day
Career
tomorrow.
Day
We haven't
tomorrow.
decided our dream career. And then in high impact instruction, we had a great time last week. John and Ruby and Jen Maley, we circulated the school and gave out certificates for high growth and high achievement to all the classes who earned that the first semester. We're looking forward to that being an ongoing middle of the year and end of the year tradition that we'll do at the school. The kids were very excited about that. And this week we kicked off, our kindergarten team has been busy planning with our coaches and community members, an amazing project-based learning unit called We Need Plants that's kicking off with our bees and why bees need plants. And so today, Miss Lauren in kindergarten helped kick that off about why we need our bees and making those connections for our students. And then, you know, Ruby was sharing about our big push this month at district and school level for attendance. We've had letters and success meetings and our conferences, and it's really paying off. Our attendance the past week has been better than it has been all year. So we're excited for that to continue the rest of the year. UPK, since we last talked, we found out all of our matches and we are full in our preschool program, both the 3-year-old and 4-year-old classes. The letters will go out to families on the 30th from the state, and we should be finalized by Friday with the state. Families will get their letters on the 30th, and then they have until the 13th to accept the match or deny it and pick a different option or change their mind, that kind of thing. And then we'll move forward. We're excited to welcome the class of 2037 into our school and 2038. And so it's really fantastic as we are looking through all the students who have siblings and connections to our community. So I'm looking forward to starting out their career at Estes Park School District with a with a good start. And then speaking of that, we have kindergarten roundup is scheduled for May 1st. And the past few weeks, we've gotten out our information and communication. We already have approximately 45 students signed up for their roundup appointments on May 1st and getting them going, ready for kindergarten next year. And then this summer, we're working busy for our project launch, been meeting with our 5 other districts, some new data collection we're doing, and some work across the state with the RISE grant. Right now, we have 36 students enrolled, and we're continuing to push. Our aim this year is to try and get about 60 students enrolled, and we have about a third of the students we have so far have participated all 3 years, and they had significant growth after 2 years. So we're really looking forward to another summer with Project Launch.
I'll pick it up from there. So some things going on. We met with you all last week in our work session and talked a lot about high impact instruction, but Ruby touched on this. We're preparing at the elementary school and middle school and high school for our CMAS testing that's coming up after spring break. So today we actually had our CMAS training for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers and proctors that will be administering the CMAS. So communication has gone out to families about our window for testing. But just to reiterate it, we'll be returning from spring break. That first week that we return, we will not be testing, but then we'll start testing that second week. And then we will, at the elementary school, we'll be testing for the next 2 weeks after that. And then we have the 3rd week or the week after that, which we'll be doing makeups. So that's for all of our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. 3rd and 4th graders will be testing in ELA and math, and then our 5th graders, ELA, math, and science. So parents can stay tuned for some more communication right after spring break with some reminders about that as well. So one thing we were bummed about that happened last Friday, actually, we had Opera Colorado plan to come and present to us Pirates of Penzance, and it was going to be presented to all of our schools. Unfortunately, they had a cast member that got sick last minute, so we're gonna have to reschedule that. But we're looking forward to that reschedule, because it was going to be a great opportunity for literally the entire district to come at a couple of different times, not all at once, because don't have the capacity for that, but all to the theater to check that out. So stay tuned for that reschedule. We also have lots of stuff happening around field trips this time of year. It's getting warmer outside. So for example, and a lot of our field trips are centered around the national park. Our partnership with the Rangers is just, the Rangers in the park are just fantastic. They, at least once a week, we see our educational rangers, interpretive rangers, coming into the school to meet with our teachers to prepare for the upcoming field trip, as well as teach the kids directly in the classroom to prepare for the field trip. This week, we actually have 5th grades going into the park tomorrow and Wednesday. 3rd grades going into the park on Thursday and Friday. And then next week we have more and more. And so thanks to Dave and our transportation team for making sure that our kids get there and back safely. And so just a great resource for us that we continue to capitalize on because of where we live. It's great. Another thing I wanted to mention around field trips is our 3rd grade team. They have just started their new project-based learning unit that's based around Estes Park history. And part of that unit is them making some field trips to places local here in town. For example, the History Museum, the Estes Park History Museum, the Stanley Home, which is a newer turned into a newer nonprofit here recently, and then also McGregor Ranch. And so our kids have been visiting. They were visiting in some of those places last week. They'll be visiting more of them this week. The culminating project for their project-based learning unit is centered around using a primary source for them to put on a different lens and have a different perspective on history. So what they did when they went to the museum here is the museum actually has tons and tons of old photographs from Estes Park. And what the students are tasked with doing as they're learning all about Estes Park history is they will be actually choosing one photograph to concentrate on. It's going to be their photograph. And then those students will be working on creating a journal from the perspective of who might have been in that photograph. And they might have no information about the photograph. They might have some information about the photograph, or they might have a lot of information, but they're going to use whatever they learn to create a journal of their own as their culminating project, which they will then present to parents at the end of this unit in what we're calling a night at the museum, where they're going to actually present it to parents on Thursday, May 11th. And community is invited to, but it's called a night at the museum, which should be fun for the kids to present that. So we're really excited about the way that that project-based learning unit has gotten off the ground here lately. So many of these things can go in so many different categories, but culture and collective efficacy, I just put this one in there because it's really about celebrating each other. And I brought our robotics trophy right here. Now, Ruby did a really good job of explaining things to us about our teams, cheeseburgers and hot dog chickens. But this particular award is called the Excellence Award. And this award is, we won it for the very first time this year down at regionals. And this is awarded to the team that demonstrates not only highest point totals in the skills categories and whatnot, but also demonstrates the most character and teamwork. And so among many other trophies that our teams won, this is one that they're most proud of this year at the elementary school. So it's really neat. And on this team, you can see on the back here, we had Gus and Thomas and Eli, and this is Team Cheeseburger right here. You see on the back. And what we've done recently, actually, because we have so many trophies at this point in time, we have an art, a couple of art cases when you walk into our school, and now one of them has been taken over with our robotics trophies. So when you get it, when you come next time, be sure to check it out. But our team just couldn't be more proud, and we couldn't be more proud of them. And so the next step is our teams will be working on raising some money to help with for their travel down to Texas, where they're going to be going for Worlds. So stay tuned for everyone on how you might be able to help out with that. So really proud of our teams there. We continue also with our Roars assemblies. They're going strong. At least monthly, where we're meeting with our grade levels, recognizing students for demonstrating our Roars behaviors throughout the school. Our parent organization, PSCO, we actually have a date for the spring dance. It's on April 28th. So that will be happening very soon, helping to continue with our culture around the school. Spirit Week is this week. Tomorrow's Career Day, like Aaron said. Wacky Wednesday is on Wednesday. Twin Day is on Thursday, and then Bobcat Spirit Day, of course, is on Friday. So let's see. We also have in this category of culture, we're planning a kids don't know about don't know about this yet. We'll be sharing with them on Wednesday, but we're planning a celebratory field trip for all 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders as a whole intermediate group towards the end of the school year. So I just wanted to put that teaser out there. We're sharing with all the kids what that might be for a strong finish to the school year. We're tying it into our strong finish. We're around attendance, like we've talked about, as well as doing our best on upcoming CMAS and our best around just a strong finish to the school year. We have about, when we get back, we're going to have about 6 weeks of school left, and we want to make sure that we're finishing strong. So as part of that, if we do finish strong, then we have a whole 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade field trip we're working on planning. So stay tuned for that as part of that celebration. We also have some things coming up as well. 4th grade music program is this Wednesday night. So maybe you can make it to the 4th grade music program. That's this Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. Also looking down the line, but I thought I'd just mention it. May 4th and 5th, our 5th graders will be going on their overnight camping trip up to High Peaks Camp. So lots of end of the year stuff comes up pretty quickly here. That's going to be here before we know it. And then finally, around the attendance, I know Aaron talked about it, Ruby talked about it as well. I've also, in addition to us seeing a measurable change here, just with us drawing attention to it, I've received 2 phone calls from parents just in the last couple of days that received the letter, just asking what they can, or how we can support them to ensure that their kids are getting here more often. And so I think we're hopefully starting to turn a little corner here and continue strong throughout the rest of the school year and into next year with attendance. So that's all I had.
Just congratulations to the robotics team.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And I appreciate working so hard on attendance and trying to turn that around.
Yeah, thanks.
Sonia Greenway.
Good evening. So robotics, so exciting. I think everybody's celebrating that. the Vex Men and the Vex Destroyers. We're just so proud of them. We got some new trophies in our trophy case. We had to move some things out of the way to get those in, but they're pretty excited to place those trophies. And I told Jed Kim I would shout out their robot Jed Jr. again. So Jed Jr., name of the robot, go Jed Jr. You heard me say it. It's a funniest name, but they did a great job. So also working on some fundraising to get those kids to Dallas at our portfolio night Wednesday. We're going to have one of those beautiful boxes and hoping to fill it up with some donations, and they're going to run the concessions as well to raise the money to get them there. So, and I think candy bars are in the works. So thank you for that. We did complete our My Life project, and those are all printed out, and I have a parent coming in tomorrow to get those up in the windows. And when I was printing them, it took me forever because I just kept looking and reading and going, our kids do some really fun stuff outside of school, and they did a good job. So it's really nice to see that part of our students and have that on our walls. So those should be on the walls, on the windows of the office tomorrow. We have started some fundraising efforts for a new middle school sign out front. Still reading Park Middle School back when this was Park School District. So we've got some kids doing some research on that to find out the story of that sign, and also starting some fundraising efforts to raise money to get a new sign up. It's kind of in its baby stages right now, but I think we'll get there. And this is all under culture and engagement right now. We are also starting an Elevate Your Pride mural in our science hallway. I'm meeting with Kristen Hill, who's a local parent and an artist, next week to see about getting that off the ground. I'm kind of excited about that as well. We added in Tuesday trivia to our announcements. So we're doing Women's History Month trivia this month on Tuesdays. We did trivia for Black History Month last month, and there was just a lot of interest and engagement, and kids came down and said, can we keep doing trivia? And I was like, yeah, and Knowledge Bowl has started, so it'll help with that too. And we're learning some really interesting things as we go. Our beehive has arrived. It won't be installed yet, but there's a beehive now that'll be installed at the CTE building, and we'll have a beekeeping club that includes middle school kids next year. There's also when Aaron got I don't know what the suits are called, but the beekeeping, the outfit, and the bee suits, one of the elementary suits arrived with ours, and it was like, it was that big. It was the cutest thing. So I'm excited about that. I'm going to put one on. I want to learn how to do this too. So it'll be fun. Our portfolio night is this Wednesday. Students have been working hard on academic and global outcomes portfolios. They will be presenting those to families. Leadership's our advisory theme this quarter. So kids are going to lead those presentations at the presentation station. And that's kind of a step towards our part of our 5-year strategic plan to have those presentations of learning at 3rd, 5th, 8th, I think 11th. Yeah, so we're starting here and hoping to build from there. I think I already mentioned concessions will be open to benefit robotics team. We've got a book fair going on, so parents and kids will be able to visit that. Our culinary classes are going to provide dinner for staff. So that's always exciting. They do such an amazing job. We are going to do a spring art show in April on the 27th. We're going to add open mic poetry reading. Students are starting to study poetry in their language arts classes. So hopefully we'll have some originals, and community are of course welcome to share a poem at the open mic. And PTO is working hard to plan that and have a fundraising event that also a dessert auction. So we'll auction off some desserts, and kids are creating artwork for a silent auction. So we'll have those available as well. And those proceeds will go towards our new sign. We revamped our attendance letter thanks to John and Aaron. I read theirs over and it felt more specific and clear. So we revamped our letter as well and are sending letters home to kids that have reached a point where we needed to send that letter. Our counselors working with some high flyer kids who are at risk for attendance, and we're hoping to see some good results the rest of the year with those kids. And I'll share that data when I have it, if it's making a difference. We are also planning to bring some parents in for some meetings for those students as well. So we can all sit at the table and talk about attendance. Communication, always important to me. I'm continuing to listen to feedback from families. We kind of use a what's working, what's not working, what's confusing protocol for those discussions. Still learning a lot, still doing lots of listening and trying to be just as clear as possible in weekly newsletter communications and trying to respond when questions come up there. High impact instruction, the depth and complexity training was really impactful for staff. Really excited about implementation, seeing it already. I met with my leadership team today, and the next couple PLCs they have with their grade level teams will revolve around the depth and complexity and how we can really get it going before the end of the year. So we hit the ground running with it in the fall as well. And that's giving kids such a focus for high level discussion, and it's pretty simple to implement. The teachers that have tried it are really thrilled about what they're seeing and hearing and what kids are able to discuss at those high levels. We are moving into CMAS season as well. Staff is trained, and we're going to really focus on talking about extended writing before we take the assessments, an area we need to work on. So not just our language arts team, but all of our teachers will be talking about writing with kids. Students are looking at the practice materials online, how to use the tools. Let's look at the types of questions. Let's look at some sample prompts, see what that might look like. So those conversations are happening, so we are ready. All staff have been working on informational text and vocabulary this year, so hoping that has a big impact on our CMAS scores as well. We did celebrate some high achievement and growth at our last words assembly with pie in the face. I didn't have to do it alone. I had some teachers step up, but it was a mess. But it was really fun. So we got to celebrate that. We've started the language arts curriculum adoption, thanks to Carmen and John Anderson for helping facilitate that. Teachers are really excited and are starting to identify what do we want, what's important to us in that curriculum. Informational text, a strong writing component, grammar and mechanics have surfaced so far, and they'll continue to work towards finding a great curriculum. And that, I want to give a shout out to Sierra Peterson, who took the 7th grade math position. I've been in the classroom and seeing some solid instruction, and I got a refresher on finding area and pi r squared. Pi is a theme, I think, this year. Sorry, Ruby. I got it in there at the end. And I think that's, the band concert was phenomenal. Every time I go, because, you know, I get to see all of them and they just sound so good. Like those 6th graders from where they start, and then 7th and 8th grade, it's just, you're gonna have good band next year with those freshmen. Yeah. Lots of go band. So we'll keep promoting that. Those kids need to march. Okay. All right. I think that's it.
Great, thank you. Any questions? No, thank you, Sonia.
Thanks.
Mary Barron and Monica Sims.
Oh, word. All right. High school. So starting with high impact instruction, we are looking at collective efficacy. It's at work in our high school.
Teacher to teacher walkthroughs are occurring. We have our focus on student motivational strategies. I've talked about that to increase student engagement. Teachers chose which best practice strategies they would like to put into practice and report out on the impact of these in each other's classrooms. We looked at data today. We had a lot of walkthroughs that have already happened. It was good data, and we started digging into that today, and we'll continue to do that. Sonia mentioned this, but our language arts curriculum adoption, again, thanks to Carmen, it's been there helping our PLC and finding the best curriculum for us. A survey was sent out, again, also helpful from Carmen to our parents regarding what they'd like to see regarding reading, writing, and communicating in our classroom. So thank you. We're excited to look at some examples and been having lots of great discussions as a team on that curriculum. We're using the work from depth and complexity. We've all talked about that. It was a great training, and there's a lot of excitement around that. Many teachers are using frames in their daily work. We're collecting some of those examples for some best practice looks. And getting really into the heart of it. We used a frame in our staff meeting today, like Ruby talked about, when we were talking about student engagement and motivational strategies. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the ProStart Student Invitational this past week. It was in Denver at the Gaylord Rockies. You can see some pictures. Oh, you probably have them in front of you too, right? I'm like, there they are right there.
Life size.
It was awesome, you guys. It was just so much fun. When we first got there, that we had tours in the kitchen. There's lots of kitchens in that hotel by actual chefs that work there. It was really fun. It was awesome programming for the kids. There was a great keynote, of course, incredible food. Lots of high energy, nail biting performances. There was like 14 schools. They each went at different times. They had an hour. I mean, they timed it to the T, and it was cool. And couldn't say anything. Poor Miss Martin. I know she was freaking out. It was really good though. And our kids, they made mahi-mahi with tropical fried rice, mango sushi rolls, and poached pear with cinnamon cream chantilly. I'm making you hungry if you haven't eaten. It was delicious.
There they are,
Yeah,
right
that was
there.
their final product. And even though our group didn't place in the top 3, we were so proud of them. They did such an excellent job. It was their first time. They worked like champs together, truly. It was, to the last couple seconds, get it on the tray. It was amazing. Such a cool trip to see. And I want to thank Miss Martin for her being such a great mentor to those students and doing such a great work with them. Really awesome stuff. Lots of graduation planning underway. Our final senior parent meeting will be this Wednesday directly after our parent teacher conferences, to meet with all parents of seniors to go over final details and so they can be aware of everything, participate in anything, and ask any questions that they have. So looking really forward to that. Culture and climate. Sophie mentioned we had our MORP dance about a week ago Saturday. It was a lot of fun. I know that student council were really excited to bring this back, and even though they didn't have quite as much attendance as they would have liked, we're working on it, right, Soph? And we'll get there. It was a lot of fun. I think the kids had a great time. We did. We had a great time. Lots of fun. And then we have lots of planning for prom coming Saturday the 15th, of course. Lots of stuff underway for that. It was also mentioned really some beautiful band and choir concerts recently. Pretty incredible. I know everybody has talked about that, but we just have the most incredible choir and band directors in our district and have done such a wonderful job with our kids. I can't say enough. John mentioned Opera Colorado was slated to come. I believe we have a rescheduled date, maybe April 18th, but we'll let you know. Sonia mentioned working with Kristen Hill, a wonderful local parent that got us connected with Wade Johnston, who's a local artist that you've probably heard of. He is working with 2 of our art classes right now to create murals for our boys and girls locker rooms, and they've already got their designs underway. So we're going to be seeing some really cool murals coming up. And we recently had our spring sports pep rally, lots of fun and games and competitions. Sports are in full gear. I know Ruby will read that report. Attendance, I can't say enough. We're continuing to stress that as well, like every other school, through our MTSS meetings, our KIMVO, our parent meetings. We'll be sending our letters out here very soon as well. Really grateful for Ruby's attendance communication. We think that that will also put a good eye on it so we can all really be working together. We just have to partner, and we know that. Within the last couple of weeks, our students had the chance to visit the campuses of CSU and Front Range Community College. They were given tours, discussed programs available to them, and they got to ask lots of questions. Great visits. And this week, some of our students interested in the field of veterinary work are going to CSU Spur Vet Clinic with some of our high school staff, and a special thanks to John's wife, Angie, who's going to be joining them, the local vet. It's going to be an awesome trip. Let's see, this weekend also, many kids from band, I don't know if you were there, Sophie, but we all helped with parking over the weekend for the Frozen Dead guy. And it was unbelievably packed. I'm sure I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It was a crazy day here in Estes Park with that many people. But the good news is the band made a ton of money. They got the high school parking and the event center parking. They were able to snag that. So all that money went to the band, which was pretty incredible, I must say. So that was awesome. And in communication, we recently hosted a representative from CSU to visit with parents of juniors to help with college planning and understanding FAFSA. We had a pretty good turnout for that. Tomorrow after school, our counselor, Miss Mabry, is hosting our help with local scholarships for seniors. And we're encouraging every single senior to apply for as many of these scholarships as they can from our generous community. So they will be getting help with that tomorrow. And finally, parent-teacher conferences are being held this Wednesday evening at the high school. We're looking forward to visiting with lots of parents and having, again, our Pro Start kids making us a wonderful taco bar dinner. So we're excited about that.
So I didn't have much to talk about with CTE because the kids being here and Mary getting to go to the culinary group, that it was amazing. So I will move on. I wanted to talk about work-based learning. We've started really pushing for more businesses to come in. We've had a great conversation with the chamber. We've also visited with Visit Estes, and that has turned into quite a few of the businesses stepping up and looking for us to have even summer employment and continuing that into the next school year. So we've been pretty excited about that. We're finishing up our mid-year review for each one of our students that has an internship or a part-time job. Their employers report back how they're doing. We have a spreadsheet that we fill out together and what their business is really looking for. And then they tell us how they're doing and what they can do better. And so far, what I've seen, they've done great. Marcia Weaver's done a really good job on keeping that organized for us all. We've started communication with Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers in Longmont, and I'm going to be looking for them to give us some job shadows and some internships for when they do have auctions, and we can go down and I can take a group and we can all work together on whatever they're needing from us. So I look forward to that kind of conversation the next week or two. The next thing that I got from Ruby was the Laramie County School District contacted us and wants to know what we're doing because they want to try to see how they can work with it in their community, in their school. And so I took that as a huge compliment on how hard everyone's working to make this known and seen, and we were seen. And so another proud moment for all of us. So I was pretty excited about that. We also got approached by the American Legion Post 119. They want to restart the Boys State and Girls State program for the Government in Action, and they are going to sponsor 2 boys and 2 girls. And so we've gone through the selection process. We're just getting confirmation that everybody wants to go. The 4 will meet with I don't know what he's called. The person that's running the program. We'll meet with them on Thursday so they can ask some questions, and then we'll announce the kids. And I'm super excited. I had to explain what that meant because that was a thing that happened when I was a kid. My brother went to Boys State and you were nominated, and it was quite an honor. And I want that to be for our kids too. So I was really excited that they wanted to start that again and actually paying for our kids to go. So it was wonderful. Our Bobcat buddies had bingo, and it was slight chaos at the beginning. My Zoom link didn't work, but I do want to thank the office staff for elementary and middle school, and of course the high school. They stepped right up with the backup plan and cell phones on top of cell phones and microphones and everything else, and it was a lot of fun. I had teachers come back that were kind of dreading going and came in and said, we had a ball. It was absolutely a lot of fun. So that was good to hear. Our next activity is April 21st, and we're doing a field day with all of our buddies. So the entire school district is going to be at Stanley Park playing games and activities and doing all the fun stuff. So wait for the chaos. It'll be heard around the state. But we are sending out letters into this week to businesses in the community that want to volunteer or send someone to help us, because there's going to be a need for volunteers, and I want to make sure the community is involved because it's going to be fun. And we have quite a great committee that is working with that. The Wellness Committee and I and a couple others have all banded together and decided we're going to make it awesome. So we're looking forward to that. And of course, we've talked about testing, and for our SAT and PSAT testing will be April 12th. And then our CMAS testing for our 11th grade will be April 19th. And so we're going to be really pushing for attendance that day and preparing for that. We'll have our test booklets, our practice booklets, and letters going out this week too for that. So, and do you have any questions? And are there any of the slides that you would like to know what's going on in them? I didn't think about that until I was scrolling through. You might want to know what they're actually doing, but anyway, do you have any questions?
I have one. I think it was at our work session, but could you remind me again the numbers you have in CTE versus the total of the school?
Oh, there's 320 students enrolled, and I have 302 in one or more CTE programs.
Thank you. That's phenomenal, I think.
Yes,
And really
it
speaks to
is.
the success of the program and
Ah,
how it's designing and growing. Thank you.
you bet.
Right. Other questions? No,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you.
And Ruby, I believe you're going to give Nolan's athletic report.
I am. He couldn't be with us tonight, so I am going to give a quick athletics update in my sports announcer voice. I'm just kidding. High school sports update for this evening. No, just kidding. Baseball opened their season at Valley on Saturday. It did not go as well as we hoped, and we plan to bounce back tomorrow night at Longmont Christian. The team is led by seniors Dawson Ash, Mikey Bird, and Michael McCowan. It's coached by Andrew Moss and Jerry Cummins. The boys swim and dive is at Futures Classic in Thornton today. And then they will have a 2-week break from competition through spring break. The team is led by senior Riley Walker and coached by Channy Thomason and Russ Franklin. Welcome back, Russ. Girls golf unfortunately did not have enough numbers to move forward with the season this year. We'll be working on generating interest and revitalizing that program for next year. The girls soccer has a big week of away games. Today they're at Windsor Charter. Tomorrow they travel to Valley, and Thursday they travel to Liberty Common. Whew. Just heads up, teachers. They're going to be needing to catch up on their homework. The team is led by seniors Sadie Morgan and Chloe Smith and junior Emily Moore. The team is coached by Kirby Hazelton and Scott Moulton. Track and field opened their season at the Weld Central Roundup in Keensburg on Saturday. They had a great showing. There's a lot of first places here. Mason Wignall was first in the 1600 and the 3200. Christopher Estenal was fourth in the 1600 and third in the 3200. Boys 4x4 meter relay finished second. The 4x8 finished first. Gail Rojas Santana was fifth in shot put. Brinley Betts was third in the 800. Courtney Barron was first in the 3200. Micah Gay was third in the 3200. Lots of placers at that meet. The next meet is Saturday, March 5th at Runners Roost in Fort Collins. The team is led by seniors Mason Wignall, Micah Gay, and it's coached by Taylor Bodine, Alex Harris, and Aaron Copeland. The girls soccer team for middle school started a preseason clinic last week and had 19 players. Woohoo. They will open the season at home on Monday, April 3rd against Liberty Common, and the team is coached by Kayla Downey and Monica Sims. Track and field for middle school will open their season tomorrow at Platte Valley Invite in Kersey. They go to the Frontier Academy meet on Thursday in Greeley. There's 45 students doing track and field. I gotta say, middle school is showing up for extracurriculars this year. Big number. The team is coached by Aaron Berryhill and Glenn Mays. Other info, CHSAA has released their proposed football alignment for the 24-26 year, 24 through the 26 year. We are in the Central League 1A with Highland, Jefferson, Manuel, Pinnacle Charter, and Platte Valley. The change is expected to be approved at the CHSAA Legislative Council in April. Coach Carlson and Nolan are already putting the 2024 schedule together. Wow, they're ahead of it. And then, of course, on March 3rd, our high school choir had the honor of performing at the Denver Nuggets game. I went to watch them and they did a wonderful job. Congratulations to Dr. Denny and the choir. And that is it.
Great, thank you. Any board questions? No? All right, moving on to agenda item 3.4, board reports. Starting with you, Eric.
For finance, kind of nothing decided, but working on a number of things, looking at medical insurance for staff and getting estimates, looking at as larger classes are graduating and the impact of funding into the future. Balancing, I think we did get the reports from, or the number from the governor's office, didn't we now, for per student? It's not always approved by the state legislature, but starting to work off of that to start to build budgets and look into the future. And as always, reviewing pay scales and to attempt to stay competitive with local districts is always an ongoing thing for us.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, let's see here. I'll start with MSAC. And the one thing I want to say about MSAC, our Middle School Accountability Committee, is Sonia does a great job of really listening to parents, acting on it, and getting back to us on that. So first thing we did is went over the district communication plan and got feedback. And first thing is there's a lot of really positive feedback about the increase in communication. So people and parents are appreciating that, the weekly newsletters, et cetera. The big place for growth was individual student feedback, like feedback about their students. And then we also went over portfolio night, and we went over that last time, and Sonia did a great job implementing a lot of the feedback. So that was really nice to see. And then the rest of it, Sonia talked about it. We talked about culture decorations and the Pride Wall, the art show on April 27th. And then also we got feedback on the language arts curriculum. So that was MSAC. And similarly, HSAC was really good. The people there, it was a great conversation. And I felt like the administration there really listened and had a great conversation with the folks. So they also talked about the communication plan and got feedback. We also got ideas for high interest seminars for open house. So like, what would parents want to hear, learning sessions they want open house, like Schoology and Power School, et cetera. We talked about prom and some safety situations they might do. Also, we got the CTE overview and of course, great numbers. And it's incredible all the options they have. And then they talked about and did send out the NWA MAP scores. And it was great really getting those in the email. That was handy. And so, yeah, that's it for HSAC. And that's it for me.
Great, thank you, Jason. John?
Yes, Eric covered the finance and I've got nothing more to report.
No, I'm sorry, John.
Okay. Yeah.
Did that not come through?
Yep, now you're much better. Thank you.
Yes, Eric covered finance and I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you, John. Ava?
I have no reports this time.
And for me, I attended the district accountability meeting and Carmen presented our mid-year data for our student and had great feedback from our community members. And we continue to discuss the communication plan from the district as well. Again, feedback from our community is on that as well. So moving on to agenda item 4, consent agenda. There are 4 items on the consent agenda. We have approval of the February 2023 meeting minutes, approval of the March 2023 personnel list, EL4, Human Relations, EL3, Development Administrative Policies. Are there any items a board member would like to pull from the consent agenda for discussion prior to approval of consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion and a second?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
We have a motion and second. Aaron, please conduct a board roll call.
Mr. Adams,
Aye.
Mr. Kushner,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mrs. Free,
Aye.
Mrs. Kendall.
Aye.
The ayes carry the vote and consent agenda is approved. Moving on to agenda item 5, action items. 5.1, approval of superintendent evaluation. Is there a motion to approve the superintendent evaluation as presented?
I move to approve the superintendent evaluation presented.
I'll second.
Is there any board discussion?
Yeah, I want to acknowledge Ruby for the outstanding work you've done. Like in your tenure, very short, like 8 months, like you've improved communication, and I hear a lot of public appreciation for that. You've done a great job of using a strategic plan to improve our schools. You're doing great at connecting with students, staff, and community members. You've navigated some really complex community issues and has really unified our district, which I think after COVID is a huge gift. We are better together and we are way better with you. Thanks for all your great work. We're really lucky to have you.
Other board comments? Oh, all right. Aaron, please conduct a board roll call.
Mr. Adams,
Aye.
Mr. Kushner,
Aye.
Mr. Davis,
Aye.
Mrs. Free,
Aye.
Mrs. Kendall.
Aye.
Ayes carry the vote and the motion passes. Agenda item 5.2, approval of the superintendent contract. Is there a motion to approve the superintendent contract as presented?
I move to approve the superintendent contract as presented.
I'll second.
Board discussion? No. I would just like to say the superintendent contract is a 2-year contract with a renewal options. Other comments?
No.
Aaron, please conduct a board roll call.
Mr. Adams,
Aye.
Mr. Kushner,
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mrs. Free,
Aye.
Mrs. Kendall.
Aye.
The ayes
Yay.
carry the vote and the motion passes. Thank you, Ruby, for everything you've been doing, and your leadership is incredible.
Thank you all.
Moving on to agenda item 6, upcoming meetings. We have April 11th, 2023 work session at 8:30 at the admin building, April 24th. Regular board meeting back in this room at 6:15. Moving on to agenda item 7, adjournment. Would a board member like to make a motion to adjourn in a second?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
Excellent. We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Okay.